All right, happy Monday, everyone. You know what? Can everybody just be real quiet for a second? I want to see if we can hear it. No, I don't hear anything at all. Nope. Definitely not hearing LeBron James on the subject of Diddy, which is weird. I'm going to actually need to hear from LeBron James on the subject of Diddy because he speaks out about virtually every other topic. Nobody asks his opinion. He gives his opinion. He's lecturing us. He's called the king. So why stay mum on your boy? That's my question. Plus, Ice Cube responds to my statement that gangster rap was created by the feds. And Janet Jackson has a message for Kamala Harris.
You ain't black.
You know what? She's getting a lot of pushback, but I'm going to have her back here because I decided to fully investigate Kamala Harris's genealogy. And what I discovered is a shocking discrepancy, which no one has yet come across. Internet, I'm going to need your help. Welcome to Candace. What can I say? What can I say? Well, let's start with Kanye West. There's something about Kanye West. He has a way with words, gets himself to a lot of trouble. And then when you revisit his words, you start to realize that he was making a lot of sense when you thought that he sounded completely crazy. And currently we're in that stage where a lot that Kanye West said years ago is aging like fine wine. Remember, it was him that told us that Diddy was a Fed. He was on a show and he was like, he's a Fed, he's a Fed. And everyone was like, what are you talking about? And he said, well, part of the deal when Diddy, notoriously him and J-Lo were in the club, they began ringing out shots, shooting in the club. And then Diddy sort of didn't get into a lot of trouble for that. And Kanye was saying that it's because he did a deal with the feds. And part of that deal was that Diddy had to control other people in the industry. So we are giving you your freedom, but on behalf of the feds, you are going to keep some people in the industry in line. So you can imagine feds just like messaging, again, this is allegedly according to Ye, messaging Diddy whenever they want him to get somebody under their thumb. And of course, Kanye West would be someone that they wanted to get under their thumb. And Kanye also mentioned that there were a lot of entertainers and athletes who he claimed were controlled. Take a listen.
They can't control me. You get what I'm saying? They can control Shaq. They can control Charles Barkley. They can control LeBron James. They can control Jay-Z and Beyonce.
No, not you, man.
But they can't control me. You see, it ain't no name I won't name.
And we didn't know what he was referring to then, but I will say that there is something I've noticed about those names that he is naming. LeBron James, Beyonce, Jay-Z. Why is he saying these people in particular? Well, as we know, they have a lot of clout in Black America. In fact, Black America treats these people like they're kings and queens. In fact, Black America refers to these individuals as kings and queens. Yes, LeBron James is known as the king, right? Beyonce is the queen, Queen Bey. And whenever these people come out and they make a statement politically, everyone just immediately gets into formation, especially for Beyonce, if you get where I'm going here. Beyonce and Jay-Z were one of the first people that were out marching for Trayvon Martin. Remember that picture of them? They were out marching and everyone said, oh my gosh, that was it. Suddenly BLM was a thing. It was mainstreamed and you were not allowed to be a Black person that stood against BLM because who would stand against something that the Queen herself ordained? And something else that I've noticed is that these individuals, they're all on the same side politically. Like, don't you think that's kind of strange? Wouldn't you just expect amongst different people for them to just have different opinions? Like, who do you agree with 100% of the time? Well, as it turns out, in Hollywood, you essentially have to be on the left. You have to, especially if you're a Black American, feed the Democrat machine. And the Democrat machine loves a good race bait, right? We're constantly having to tell Black Americans that, oh, just, you know, one more hill to climb. If you guys elect Barack Obama, then the racism of the past will be over. And Black Americans elect Barack Obama, and after Barack Obama's president, it seems like race issues are worse than ever before. Oh, it's okay. We've got BLM now, and if we just keep rioting and looting in the streets, then we will finally get the justice that we deserve. And truly, it's crazy to see this. It's crazy to see how easy it is for these celebrities to come out and make a statement and to just watch all of Black America follow along, asking no questions as if everybody's a robot. And God forbid you're someone like me who goes, hey, wait a minute. what if this is just stupid? And they go, oh, Uncle Tom, race traitor. She must do this for white people. She doesn't care about us. She ain't like us. She is not invited to the cookout. That's what they tell me all the time. I'm not invited to the cookout. And essentially what they're saying is we are all one monolith. And we have, in a lot of ways, become a monolith because we worship these stars. It's quite bizarre to see this. And so LeBron James, let's really hone in on his messages of the past because he's become one of these, I would say, state puppets. Whatever the state wants, whatever initiative the state is after, LeBron James is selling to the youth. As one example, of course, with George Floyd. Oh my gosh, he was really trying to tell Black America, oh my gosh, you should be out rioting. We should be out rioting and protesting because I am enraged and you should be enraged. And here is something that he actually shared on his Instagram at that time. Do you understand now? Exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point, question mark. Or is it still blurred to you? Hashtag stay woke. And then the photo is Derek Chauvin and George Floyd. This is why. And of course, Colin Kaepernick, who became a hero, picked out his hair, decided he only wanted to be known as Black and not half white as he is. He really leaned into this stereotype of a Black man suffering, playing for the NFL, earning millions of dollars, despite the fact that he's a subpar player. And that was it. A movement was born. And that wasn't it, by the way. When the Ahmaud Arbery footage was released, this is what LeBron James tweeted. He tweeted, "We're literally hunted every day. Every time we step foot outside the comfort of our homes. Can't even go for a damn jog, man. Like, what the F, man? Are you kidding me?" Exclamation points, question mark, exclamation point, question mark, a lot of that, okay? No, man, for real. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, Ahmaud. Rest in paradise, and my prayers and blessings sent to the family. I can't, you guys have the second part of this tweet? Basically, oh yeah, that's it. That's all he wrote. That was the end of the tweet. And so you see this message again, where LeBron James is taking on this ability to just make Black Americans lean into the emotion of every situation. Even, if the reality is that George Floyd, as they were trying to peaceably arrest him, ingested a bunch of fentanyl like he had done in the past and had 3 times the amount of fentanyl inside of his system, enough fentanyl in him to kill a horse. And even if the reality is that fentanyl quite literally makes you stop breathing, he leaves that out because the message here is that white people are the enemy, cops are the enemy. And he carried on this message also, the situation pertaining to Jacob Blake, he tweeted this, "And y'all wonder why we say what we say about the police. Someone please tell me, what the F is this exactly? Another Black man being targeted. This SHIT is so wrong and so sad. Feel sorry for him, his family, and our people. We want justice." And he retweets Attorney Crump. Now, I just want to remind you guys, Jacob Blake, he was that 29-year-old Black man who was partly paralyzed after a white police officer shot him 7 times in the back in Kenosha. You might remember him as a knife-wielding maniac. He was literally wielding a knife. But somehow this shooting, which was totally justified, became a rallying cry. And there were demonstrators in Kenosha and across the country who were boycotting in professional sports leagues as well. And it was just people looting, destroying, what we see over and over again. And they blamed Trump because he said we need law and order. Now, according to the criminal complaint, Blake had allegedly entered the house of a woman he knew. She was the one who called the police in the early hours of the morning. He sexually assaulted her, and then he took a debit card and car keys before fleeing in her vehicle. So yeah, might have been a reason if somebody's coming at you with a knife and is fleeing a scene of a crime after allegedly having sexually assaulted a woman and stolen from her, and she called the police. There might have been a reason that shooting took place, but LeBron James leaves that out. Because again, I don't know who he's working for, but it seems like he's one of the ones that are chosen to deliver this message to the masses. A man who doesn't even touch his own door handles, telling you that we can't go outside. I'm sorry, who can't go outside? What are you speaking about? I'm pretty sure LeBron James lives in a $100 million mansion in Beverly Hills. Why can't you go outside, LeBron? Is it like too hot? Is it like the summertime? I'm not clear on that. So one thing that I've recognized is that LeBron James, despite saying all of this, is really mum on the Diddy case. I mean, if he cares so much about Black victimhood, you would think that he would use his platform to speak right now when the perpetrators are, his friends, allegedly. Let me show you this clip of LeBron James speaking about how much he loves a Diddy party.
Hey, everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Don't forget to put me in the box.
That's what's up. Yeah.
Ain't no party like a Diddy party. And by the way, he's not lying there. From everything that I've read, if these allegations are true, there truly is no party like a Diddy party. Because I don't know any party. I've been to a lot of parties in my youth. Never did we have like pink cocaine in bottles and like thousands of bottles of baby oil and people that were sex slaves sleeping with each other. We just did not. So it could be just factually a true statement to say that there ain't no party like a Diddy party. Now let me show you this clip of him partying with Diddy, dancing to a Migos song. Take a listen.
I got the Richie to sit on my lap, and sometimes I always be pulling the blade. After no earth, ever since I got that rocket chain, they took a trip out of space. I was in birth, my mama told me that they had a cool, but they didn't hate. I want my work, so I'm just playing the purse, if you ain't got my little gay. Madison Church, when they see every diamonds and stones in my Jesus' face. Ain't got a run, and it's not a race. Go!
Well, it looks like he's having a really good time. It looks like he's had a lot of time with Diddy. They've been friends for years. They're always hugging, dapping up, bad boys for life, right? And so where is LeBron James, who has elected himself the mayor of speaking out when nobody cares to hear his opinion, speaking out to emote to Black Americans, to make Black Americans emotional in order to make them feel justified in their behavior when they riot and they loot? Because that's what he's doing. He's in his mansion. He's tweeting, "You see? We can't even step outside in Beverly Hills. We can't even." And then the Black youth are seeing this. They're going, "That's my king." And they take to the streets and they get themselves in trouble. So again, where is LeBron on the Diddy thing? Because if you're telling me that you use your platform to speak out when there are Black victims, there sure as hell seems to be a lot of them when it comes to Diddy. In fact, it would seem, if these allegations are true, that he was systematically victimizing Black men, that he was systematically victimizing producers, victimizing women. We saw him obviously beat Cassie. He took ownership of that, so we don't have to say allegedly. When it comes to him beating Cassie, you were friends with him throughout all of this. You were at these parties. You are seeing more and more people speak out about how they were sexually assaulted allegedly at these parties. We understand that people were drugged without them knowing. If, again, these allegations are true from producer Lil Rod and they are replacing the liquor with a cocktail of cocaine and psychostimulants, where are you, king? I say to Black America all the time, bring me your kings and bring me your queens. These are the people that you're supposed to follow into the street as you burn down your own neighborhoods. And now, when you have an objective reality like this one, Diddy having been arrested, not being allowed to make a bail because of how severe the allegations are, people that have produced footage and photos and are speaking out about how scared they are for their lives. Remember, Lil Rod is in hiding, saying that he is scared for his life because he has people everywhere. Has LeBron James offered to cut a check? Has LeBron James simply made a statement that this is wrong? Has LeBron James maybe just said, "Hey, I was at those parties, but I didn't realize that this was taking place"? Or, hear me out, is it plausible that the reason that LeBron James is opting to be so quiet is because when he read that lawsuit and realized that Diddy had cameras everywhere, unbeknownst to his partygoers at these freak-offs, is it plausible that he's got LeBron James doing something that he wouldn't want made public? Is it plausible that Ye was right and the feds were using him to keep people in control by filming them when they're high, when they're drunk, when they're doing something that they wouldn't want people to know that they were doing behind closed doors? Maybe it's just cheating on a spouse, who knows? Is it plausible that he's collected something about LeBron James that he is fearful may be made public? I don't know. I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking for the king to use his platform to speak to us peasants. And that's all I'm saying about that. All right, guys, reminding you about preborn because according to a recent report, Planned Parenthood continues to rake in billions despite dwindling clients. The biggest takeaway is that Planned Parenthood is generating vast profits, including millions in taxpayer funding. With preborn, we get to actively steal their clientele, which means the babies that they are trying to kill, we get a chance to rescue. Preborn operates on a very slim budget, rescuing over 200 babies' lives every single day with no government funding. Preborn's network of clinics are situated in the darkest corners of the nation, competing head-to-head with the abortion giants, and they need our help now more than ever. When you donate just $28 to Preborn, you'll offer a free ultrasound to an expectant mother that's caught in a crisis, because once she hears that baby's heartbeat and sees that precious life, her baby's chance at life will double. So sponsor a precious baby's life today. Your tax-deductible gift will go directly towards saving babies' lives. You just dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250 baby. Or you can go to preborn.com/Candace. Again, that's preborn.com/Candace. All right, guys, we got to get into this Janet Jackson story. It's actually quite funny. I'm really feeling the Jackson vibes again, like just on the basis of what they have been speaking out about. I don't know if Randy Jackson, if you follow him on Instagram, I mean, they're speaking out about really important issues, and they don't seem to be taking the bait of allowing Hollywood to control them. So anyways, Janet Jackson is under fire, and I will tell you why she is under fire, because she is currently on a European tour, and as it goes, when you're on tour, they make you do a bunch of media, a bunch of press just to promote the tour. She also has an upcoming Las Vegas residency that is, I believe, beginning this weekend. So as a part of doing this press, she sat down to give a long-form interview to promote her tour with a journalist over at The Guardian named Nosheen Iqbal. Okay, I'm going to read you directly from this interview because there's actually two things that I want to point to that are incredible. Now, this journalist is writing in first person format, so she's just like speaking about what she sees. This is in the journalist's voice. The journalist writes, "We move on to talk about the State of the Union. Jackson brought politics directly to the pop consciousness with Rhythm Nation. She's a prolific social media user and has used her profile to support Black Lives Matter to bring awareness to police brutality. Does she feel despondent about how slow change is incoming, or is she hopeful about the future?" This is a quote now from Janet. "Well, there's all this child trafficking crap that's going on and sex trafficking crap, you know what I mean? That wasn't so prevalent then. The journalist now remarks, it's a strange about turn, not least because of the many allegations of child sexual abuse made against Michael, but it is also the most forceful that she has been since we sat down. Quote, at least we didn't know about it back then. I don't think we did we? Not really. I think it's really now out in the open because it's like $1 billion business and all that crap." The journalist, "I wonder what internet rabbit hole she's been going down. Before I can ask, she's moved on." So first and foremost, she is bringing up something. Janet Jackson is bringing up sex trafficking, human trafficking. We know this is a reality. We know that it's a problem. We've been speaking about it on this show as well. And the journalist, rather than being curious about it, essentially just tries to smear post-mortem smear Michael Jackson, being like, given the allegations against her brother, it's why would she even bring this up, and just wants to move on from it. I just find it incredible that the entire mainstream media apparatus wants to pretend like child sex trafficking is not a thing. Maybe it's because the people that are doing the trafficking have a lot of power in this country. I mean, that's the first thought that comes to my mind. Why would you just move on from this and try to make it seem like she's crazy for talking about an issue that is real? Now, it goes on, and she's quoting Janet here. "On the Rhythm Nation album, for us, it was about making a difference in a kid's life, a teenager's life, from them taking this path with drugs and going down the wrong street to trying to make something of themselves. On that record, she sang about joining voices in protest to social injustice and pushing toward a world rid of color lines. I wonder where she stands in the forthcoming election. After all, I say, America could be on the verge of voting its first Black female president, Kamala Harris." This is Janet Jackson. "Well, you know what they said, supposedly," she asked me. "She's not Black. That's what I heard, that she's Indian." She looks at me expectantly, perhaps assuming that I have Indian heritage. "Well, she's both," I offer. "Her father's white," Janet says. "That's what I was told. I mean, I haven't watched the news in a few days. I was told they discovered her father was white." The journalist writes, "I'm floored at this point. It is well known that Harris's father is a Jamaican economist, a Stanford professor who split from her Indian mother when she was 5. Okay, So this journalist is obviously not a journalist. This person is an activist. They were sent to do this interview for a reason, sent to write this profile piece to make it look like Jenna is crazy, and of course sent to get the quotation she expected, which was that it's going to be amazing to have a black woman as a president because, again, they're signaling to black people, get into line, this is your new Obama, despite any evidence that she is black. And so I actually thought, has anybody really investigated Kamala Harris's genealogy? Like, we just keep being told she's black suddenly, and the media keeps overreacting when people say she's not black. And I can't find any evidence that Kamala Harris is black. So I said, I'm going to pause everything and do a deep dive on Kamala Harris's genealogy. And what I discovered is so shocking, okay? So first, let's start with just Kamala Harris's birth certificate. This is it. This is an authentic copy of it. It's already been discussed. You can see in the corner there that we have highlighted on her mother's name is an Indian name, Shailamala Gopalan, and under color or race of mother, her mother has put Caucasian, extremely controversial, but we don't need to focus on the mother because the mother, everyone accepts the mother is not black at all, right? So if she's some part Caucasian, majority Indian, everyone accepts that the mother is not the claim to her black heritage, it is the father. So in the bottom there, you can see that it says that her father's name is Donald Jasper Harris and that the color or the race of the father is listed as Jamaican, okay? So you can be Jamaican, you can grow up in Jamaica and not be black, obviously. It's like Elon Musk, like he was born and raised in Africa. It would be absurd for Elon Musk to say that he was black because he is not black. He is a white African. So I wanted to go further into Donald Jasper Harris, allegedly born in Jamaica in 1938. He has indicated that someone in his family is black. So who are his parents, okay? So this is Kamala's dad, Donald Harris. We're looking now into Kamala's grandparents. The grandparents' names are Beryl Christie Finnegan Harris and Oscar Joseph Brown Harris. So let's start with Beryl. Let's start with her grandmother. This is an alleged photo of Beryl Christie Harris, okay? It is the only one that exists in the public domain, and I want you guys to know that it was presented by Kamala herself. I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay, like where did this photo come from? Actually, Kamala is the one that entered this into the public domain in her book, which is entitled The Truths We Hold, which was published in 2019. So looking at this woman, she looks black and she wrote, visiting my paternal grandmother, Beryl, in Jamaica, okay? Now, when I saw this, I assumed it was a fake photo and I assumed that somebody had put it up other than Kamala because just doing a very brief search and then I quadruple checked this across multiple websites, genealogy websites and genealogists, that can't be Kamala's grandmother. Let's pull up a picture of her again. That can't be Kamala's grandmother because at least according to my research, Grandma Beryl died before Kamala was born. And now I want the internet to fact check this with me. This is wild, okay? Beryl was born in 1921 and she died in 1960, okay? I've checked grave sites everywhere. This is it's not exactly a very common name and not an exactly very common place specifically where she was born, St. Anne's Parish in Jamaica. That would mean that Beryl had Kamala's father when she was just 17 years old in 1938, and she died when she was just 39 years old. The black woman in that photo is not 39 years old. So this is a major discrepancy, okay? And this is just a tiny bit of digging. I went, wait a second. Has anybody realized that Beryl allegedly died when she was 39 years old in 1960? That means that Kamala would have been born 4 years after her grandmother died in 1964. 1964 is when Kamala was born. Her grandmother died in 1960. So who is that woman that is in the photo with Kamala, okay? Beryl Finnegan, now looking more into her grandmother, was definitively not black. Now, how do we know this? Because Beryl, that woman that you just saw, her father was Patrick Alhanasus Finnegan, who was an Irish slaver, okay? So that woman that you just saw, at a bare minimum, has to be half white. An Irish slaver is who her father was. Doesn't look like that. Maybe that Irish slaver married a super duper black woman. I don't know, but I know that that is not a picture of Beryl, and I know that Beryl is at a minimum half white, okay? Because the father was an Irish slaver. Now, what about Kamala's grandfather? The other side of this, Oscar Joseph Brown Harris is his name. That's allegedly who Beryl married, right? Okay. What I've learned about him, this is the photo that they have produced of him. That's supposed to be her grandfather. What I've learned about Oscar was that he was born in 1914. Brown was his mother's maiden name. His mother was a woman named Christiana Brown, who was known as Miss Chrissy. Christiana Brown's father was also a white Irish slave trader named Colonel Hamilton Brown. That is the white Irish slave trader named Colonel Brown. He married an indentured servant, an Irish woman named Kate Williams, presumably Catherine Williams. And let me tell you how wealthy her family was. Colonel Hamilton established the town that they lived in. It was called Hamilton Town. It's now called Brown Town. And he owned, at a minimum, 1,120 slaves, according to records, okay? So they were a family of wealthy Irish slave traders. But now let's go back to that photo again. Who is this with Kamala Harris that is wrongly assumed to be her grandmother? Again, you guys can fact check me. I was going, this is just weird. How did nobody notice this? Well, that woman looks an awful lot like a slightly younger version of somebody that we are told is Kamala's great-grandmother, okay? A woman named Aura Iris Finnegan Allen. See, that face looks just like the woman that we just saw, but slightly older. Now, let's go back again to that photo of the Beryl, who's definitely not Beryl, okay? And let's go forward here so you guys can get this in your head. That looks like the same woman to me, okay? But this woman is allegedly her great-grandmother, who is known as Miss Iris, okay? So pull up Miss Iris again, the great-grandmother who Kamala is allegedly on her lap. We can all agree that that woman looks to be at least some percentage black, and it's about to get weird, okay? So first, just so we are clear, even if this woman was 100% black, that would make Kamala majority Irish white. She would be majority white. So it's completely crazy that she would suddenly claw out and pretend that she's black, okay? If she was 100%, that woman, great-grandmother, if she was 100% black, that would make Kamala 12% black under a best-case scenario. But I thought, okay, that's Miss Iris. She's saying that's her great-grandmother. Let me verify that Miss Iris was fully black. And a way to do that would be to take a look at Miss Iris's children, you know? Now, to be clear, she allegedly had 4 children. So we have Kamala's missing grandmother, Beryl, who allegedly died at the age of 39, as well as some of Kamala's great uncles and great aunts. And their names were Abraham Judah Finnegan, Noel Finnegan, and Bernard Finnegan, okay? So Beryl, the missing grandma, has 3 siblings: Abraham, Judah Finnegan, Noel Finnegan, and Bernard Finnegan. All of these people have apparently evaporated into thin air. Literally cannot find a single trace of these people who definitely do not have black names, okay? And I'm just going, I just want to see a picture here. So I'm going to put a bounty on it. I would like someone to do a little bit of due diligence here. Find me Beryl Finnegan and Beryl's 3 siblings, okay? A photo, anything, $1,000. You email it to info@CandaceOwens.com because I am telling you something is not right here. How did nobody realize that Beryl died in 1960 and Kamala, in her book, published a photo of a grandparent who she wasn't alive to meet, okay? Where is the real Beryl? I would like a photo of Beryl, a photo of any of Beryl's siblings, literally disappeared without a trace. This is the only reason, okay, that people are convinced that Kamala must have some black in her family, is because of these alleged relatives. And it's just ironic because her family is extraordinarily Irish white, extraordinarily wealthy slave owning descendants. And the only reason we have this image in our head, just like Trump said, suddenly she was black, is because Kamala's father in 2020, just after Kamala published that photo in her book, Kamala's father in 2020 similarly decided to publish an essay entitled Reflections of a Jamaican Father, where he only included, in all of his white Irish slave-owning family, he only decided to include a photo of Miss Iris and Miss Chrissy, who look like the same person to me. Why would he do that? We've got a big old family, got a ton of wealth, Everyone's got a slave. Why did you decide in 2020 to publish a photo of these two women, just like Kamala did in her book? I've got question marks. I don't know how it's possible that every time we are electing someone to office, they have a very shady family background, and hers is extremely shady. By the way, Finnegan, there are tons of Finnegans, okay? So I'm not putting two and two together here, but that also is Joe Biden's family name, like Finnegans for Joe Biden's family, Finnegans in her family. I wonder if there's a little bit of cross-contamination. Could be, could not be. Like I said, it's a popular last name, but there's something weird here, okay? Beryl and siblings, huge question mark. I don't know. Abraham Judah does not sound to me like the blackest person in the world. And I'm going to need you guys to get on it, internet. $1,000 bounty. Email it to info@CandaceOwens.com, especially if you're in Jamaica. Like, we got to be able to find something here. Like, if these siblings just disappeared into thin air. Where's great aunt and great uncle? Where's your great unc? All right, guys, I'm going to pause there and tell you a bit about Native Path. Their collagen is absolutely amazing. It's a single ingredient formula with no fillers, additives, or artificial sweeteners. Native Path collagen is made with only type 1 and 3 collagen fibers, which are found in your cartilage, bones, skin, hair, nails, and gut. Their ingredients are scientifically backed to increase bone mineral density, support tissue recovery, reduce wrinkles, enhance hair thickness, and strengthen weak or damaged nails. Completely flavorless, Native Path collagen can be added to anything. Coffee, smoothies, oatmeal, you name it. Its peptide formula makes it more bioavailable, meaning that it's absorbed more easily and mixes perfectly without clumping. Right now, when you visit nativepath.sales/Candace, you can stock up on Native Path collagen for up to an incredible 45% off today, plus free shipping. Every order comes with a 365-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it risk-free today. Native Path offers amazing bundle deals. You can get 3 or 6 packs at a fraction of the price of other brands. Visit nativepath.sales/Candace today. All right, guys. So by the time we finished our episode on Friday, I realized that I was trending on the internet, and I was trending on the internet because I tweeted something. I will tell you what I tweeted. Gangster rap was never black culture. It was created by the feds who proffered deals to homosexual black men in prison and then turned them into artificial celebrities. The goal was to create false idols, to destroy Black American values. I will never change my mind on this, obviously. So I guess people started asking some rappers who they believe contributed to the gangster rap scene whether or not what I had to say was correct. And Ice Cube responded. He wrote, "We called it reality rap. The industry coined it gangster rap. The fans wanted gangster rap, and that's what they got. The feds didn't write none of my shit. I'm a real MC." Okay, so I never said the feds wrote the music. So all these like publications were like, that Ice Cube debunks or whatever, like Ice Cube gets Candace and says that this is crazy theory. I never said they wrote the lyrics. I do not think the feds are writing the lyrics to Sexy Red. That's not how this works, you know? And I would, by the way, welcome this conversation with you, Ice Cube, because I think you probably do understand exactly what I'm talking about, okay? So essentially, and this is not just, by the way, for gangster rap music. This is also it was an entire Fed operation. When you look into Tavistock Institute, they introduced love, drugs, and rock and roll. Like the hippie music and the hippie era was not organic. I hope you recognize that by now. It was actually the CIA that provided the LSD, got everybody high, okay? And you can look up Charles Manson, who was a part of the MK Ultra program. He was a person that was in and out of prison. They decided to turn him into an asset. He was given all of these drugs to distribute, to get people high all of the time. That is what I'm speaking about. So they have some explicit end, and they introduce a drug into the community. I believe truly when it comes to the hippie generation, it was about turning a very Christian society into a free love, sex everywhere type of society. And the book that I recommend you guys read, if you're looking for documents and looking for people to cite where that came from, you guys know I've told you to read Chaos 1,000 times. I'm going to tell you 1,000 more times. It's really shocking to understand how much the feds were involved in distributing CIA. Now, this kind of makes us go back to what we covered on Friday's episode, where you had that guy, I think his name was Brandon Odie, who said that hip hop was a similar agenda, that they were flooding drugs, that the feds were flooding drugs, the DEA was flooding drugs into the community, drugs that were a mixture. Again, this guy, Jonathan Odie, was sounding crazy in 2018, but it sort of matches up. It radically transformed Black American society in the same way that LSD and the hippie communes radically transformed family life amongst white Americans, right? It was meant to crush, in my view, the Christian culture, that they did not feel that they could control people as individuals, which is what they need. They need to break apart the family unit if they want to control you, right? They don't want you listening to your mom. They want you cutting class, strumming on a guitar. And I very much believe that the Beatles were created by the feds. And if you look into the murder of what was the book that John Lennon, this killer, was allegedly holding? Catcher in the Rye, I think, was the book that he was holding. And if you look into the truth, the CIA was there that day that he got shot. So I have a lot of questions about that. And yes, it is 1000% true that they had these psychiatric institutes that were looking into the way that music frequencies would impact our behavior. So does it mean that the feds are writing the music for people that are strumming the guitar? No, but it does mean that they are specifically going out and finding artists to fulfill a specific goal, right? It is not a coincidence that they just keep finding these people that are creating derogatory music. Black American music was uplifting. Black American music was about family life. Black American music was about love. Then there was this radical shift. And suddenly it's like all of the execs wanted to sign people that were talking about drugs and thug life and bop, bop, bop in the club. And it just becomes more and more derogatory. And we can see the impact of those frequencies all around us. Kids aspiring to live that life because they think it's cool. That is the Hollywood it factor, right? We're going to make this guy seem cool. We're going to get them to follow Jay-Z. We're going to get them to worship this lifestyle and believe that if they live this life, if they're selling drugs, they could maybe one day end up like Jay-Z. That is what I am saying. It was a Fed operation once they realized that they wanted to break apart the Black family and they wanted to create this hip hop to prison pipeline. They went out, they found the artists that they wanted. I believe the execs are a part of this, and I think much more is going to come out in this Diddy suit because there were musical execs that were named in this that the media is conveniently forgetting. I believe they were a part of that operation. Actually, ironically, speaking of the Beatles, Lucien Grange, who was named in the Diddy suit as the person that's allegedly sits at the top with Diddy, used to be working for the Beatles. He had a different last name, a totally different last name. It used to just be G-E-E. And he worked with his father as a tailor to the Beatles. And now he's a giant music exec. So as I said, more will come out. I stand by my statement that gangster rap was intentionally encouraged. And then they found some people that were just straight up actors to play this role of a gangster. And one of those people is obviously Tupac. So let's just watch this footage. You may forget this. Tupac was an actor, and I'm pretty sure he was not a heterosexual actor either on the basis of this clip. Take a listen.
I'm most like my mom because I'm arrogant. Totally arrogant. I agree. I have to say it. Like at work, I can't hold a job. I just quit my job today, actually, because I wanted to come and do this. And they wouldn't let me. And I felt like it was important, and it was more important than serving pizza, and we had enough people, so I felt like since I'm an actor, they should understand. They should have let me do it, but they didn't. And then I had a cold, so they were making me work in a freezer. And I'm really not one to be disrespected, and I felt like that was disrespectful because I asked to go, you know. So I quit, and he told me I couldn't quit. And that even made me hyper. I'm arrogant. So when he told me I couldn't quit and we had all these customers, I chose that time to jump on a soapbox, grab my leather jacket, light a cigarette in front of him, smoke, and leave in the middle of a rush. So that was natural high. That's arrogance at the top. That's, I think, I'm most like my mother. And she likes it. She'll see it in me and know it. And we clash a lot because I'm arrogant, she's arrogant. And you should see us when we get in our little attitude moves.
I'm just saying it's a lot of hand movement for an eventual thug life gangster, okay? And like I said, he was in school for performing arts. Yeah, they were looking for people. That's him being cast. And it's very obvious to me that gangster rap was some sort of an operation and remains today. All of the trap music, all the people that are getting signed, I don't say this with any ill will in my heart. I'm just not going to be convinced that, like, you know, Sexy Red is the #1 talent that Black America can offer, that she gets a record deal, and that they couldn't find someone else that was producing music of a higher caliber. Again, not a shot at her, not a shot at you, Ice Cube, just calling it like I see it because it is very obvious. All right, guys, I do also, before we go, want to get to this Katy Perry story because it's great. I really appreciated this about Katy Perry years ago. I obviously have used my platform to speak out against the Me Too movement, and there was no greater proof of just guilty until proven innocent, and sort of this war against men, than when Kesha literally just cried in the back of a courtroom. Like, she just was crying in the back of the courtroom, trying to get out of her deal with Sony. And the entire world broke in her favor, believed that she was a victim, because why else would a woman be crying when she's not getting what she wants, unless everything she's saying is true? And she made these allegations against Dr. Luke, who was her then producer, that he had raped her. And that was all it took. She made the allegation. They said she was so brave. She sort of rebranded as this brave woman. And he quietly was fighting this from start to finish, saying that she was lying and it was impacting his family. And I just never bought her story. I didn't buy her story because I just feel like when a woman tells me that she wakes up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy, that she brushes her teeth with a bottle of Jack, that maybe what comes with that sort of a lifestyle is a willingness to sleep with men. And I don't think, again, speaking to like people that get record deals like Kesha, not the #1 greatest singer. And I know how the industry is, and people sleep with people in the industry because they want record deals. That's just the reality that it is. Prostitution is the oldest craft in the world, right? I'm not saying Kesha is a prostitute. I am just saying that her story didn't make sense to me right away, and I was willing to give Dr. Luke the benefit of the doubt. And as time went on, Kesha made a bit of an uh-oh, and her fans still are going to be pissed at me for calling this out. But the reality is that Kesha texted Lady Gaga and said he also raped Katy Perry. And because they had received all of her text messages and they saw this, they deposed Katy Perry under oath and asked her if Dr. Luke raped her. And Katy Perry said no. She said that that was a lie. And this effectively ruined Kesha's case, right? Because she had said some other woman was raped who said that she wasn't raped. And I can't imagine if Katy Perry was raped that she wouldn't just say she was raped, because this guy could have been in a lot of trouble. And so she ended up dropping the allegations against Dr. Luke quietly, right? So all of this fanfare, like basically taking down this man, calling him a rapist, and then like the press never covers the follow-up, right? Because they had already like done the Me Too thing and made her like an icon of like brave woman. And she like quietly like dropped this case against him. And then you have Katy Perry, who I think did something quite brave. Like, she just told the truth and said I was not a rape victim. Well, she's under fire because she is opting to work with Dr. Luke again. And that really is an implicit middle finger to the Me Too movement and her former friend, Kesha. They were friends. They got into the industry together. We don't know what happened, but they aren't friends anymore. And so Katy Perry recently went on to the Call Her Daddy podcast and was questioned about her decision to work with Dr. Luke. Take a listen.
I know a lot of people have expressed disappointment and were really upset that you decided to involve Dr. Luke on this album. Why did you choose to work with him?
Look, I understand that it started a lot of conversations, and he was one of many collaborators that I collaborated with. But the reality is it comes from me. The truth is I wrote these songs from my experience of my whole life going through this metamorphosis. And he was one of the people to help facilitate all that. One of the writers, one of the producers.
That's cool. So to people that are upset about this, I want to ask you a question. Why does Katy Perry have to pretend that she was raped to make you happy? She wasn't raped. It didn't happen. She's happy that this guy helped her out in her career. Why do people have to step into a fantasy land of somebody else to make you guys feel happy because you were so emotionally invested in Me Too that absent any evidence, you convicted a man? Like, we have to stop being like that as women. I just cannot stand this culture of like, well, she's crying, so she must be telling the truth. Women don't lie. Hashtag believe women. Or if you're going to hashtag believe women, why don't you hashtag believe Katy Perry when she says, I wasn't raped and I'd like to work with this person who helped me in my career. Good for you, Katy, for holding the line on this. You don't have to lie to make crazy people happy. That's all I'm going to say on that topic. Guys, I'm going to get into your comments, but first I want to remind you about American Financing because mortgage interest rates are finally dropping. They're now in the 4s. If you've been waiting to figure out how to get your finances in order, you need to call my friends at American Financing today. Many hardworking Americans are carrying high credit card balances that charge 20% or more each month. It's time to get rid of those. American Financing salary-based mortgage consultants are helping homeowners just like you tap into their home's equity line to get out of high-interest debt. They're saving, on average, their customers $800 a month by doing this. With rates dropping, the decision is very easy. All it takes is a 10-minute, no-cost, no-obligation phone call to find out how much you can save. And if you start today, you may be able to delay 2 mortgage payments. So call American Financing today at 800-795-1210. Again, that's 800-795-1210. Or you can visit americanfinancing.net/Owens. That's americanfinancing.net/Owens. All right, guys, we're diving into the comment section. As you guys know, we do this just on Rumble now because YouTube hates me, and I want to make sure that we are quietly also building our Rumble in case they ever get rid of my channel. So I encourage you guys all to click the link in the description and follow us over to Rumble, subscribe to the channel. We want to make sure that we are building everywhere. And so if you're on YouTube, I am leaving you guys now. All right, Rumble, let's get ready to Rumble. Jumping into some of your comments. Here's what we have first. Billy Huang writes, regarding that Pac clip, the late Rick James would have said, that man's got